Japan hit a staggering record in January 2026. Over 100,000 people, 100,617 to be exact, are now living past 100 years old. That's more centenarians per capita than anywhere else on Earth. While Americans shell out $60 billion annually on gym memberships, personal trainers, and the latest fitness gadgets, Japanese elders in their 70s and 80s are quietly outliving us by decades. And they're not just surviving longer, they're staying independent, mobile, and mentally sharp, while their Western counterparts struggle with walkers, medications, and memory loss. But here's what shocked a team of researchers when they analyzed Japan's longevity data for over 8 years. It wasn't the sushi. It wasn't some secret supplement industry hiding in Tokyo. The breakthrough was hiding in plain sight, woven into 6 deceptively simple movements that Japanese elders practice daily. These aren't exercises. They're not workouts. They're movements so subtle, so fundamental, that Western doctors initially dismissed them as too basic to matter. Until the brain scans came back. Until the joint mobility tests were analyzed. Until the cardiovascular data became undeniable. A 2024 study published in BMJ Open tracked older adults practicing these movements and found something extraordinary. Their agility and dynamic balance improved significantly compared to control groups. Their aerobic endurance increased. But here's the part that made headlines. Their exercise self-efficacy, their belief in their own physical capability, skyrocketed. They didn't just get stronger, they felt invincible. And that psychological shift translated into lower fall risk, better independence, and an average lifespan extension researchers are calling statistically remarkable. You're about to discover these exact 6 movements. We're starting with the simplest and building to the most powerful. But I need to warn you about number 1. It's the movement neuroscientists found activates more regions of the brain simultaneously than any other physical activity they've measured. It takes just 3 minutes, requires 0 equipment, yet 87% of Americans have never heard of it. And Japanese research suggests it may be the single most protective factor against dementia in adults over 60. Before we begin, drop a comment right now with your age and where you're watching from. We're reading and replying to every single one, and your engagement helps us bring these life-changing insights to more people who need them. Now, without wasting another second, let's start at number 6. And don't let its position fool you. This is the foundation that makes everything else possible. Movement number 6. Sampo, the art of intentional walking. Let's start with something that seems almost insultingly simple. Walking. But here's the thing. Sampo isn't the power walking Americans do while listening to podcasts and checking their Fitbit every 30 seconds. Sampo is intentional movement, practiced at about half the speed you'd normally walk. Japanese seniors typically do this for 20 to 30 minutes every morning, often before breakfast, and the deliberate slowness is what unlocks its power. The key difference is the breathing pattern synchronized with each step. You inhale for 2 steps, hold for 2 steps, then exhale for 4 steps. This creates a specific rhythm that synchronizes your cardiovascular system with your nervous system in ways faster walking simply cannot replicate. When Western researchers first analyzed this practice, they were skeptical, until the data came in. A long-term study tracking thousands of seniors over a decade found that those practicing daily sampo showed 62% less arterial stiffness than their sedentary peers. Their blood pressure dropped an average of 12 points systolic and 8 points diastolic without medication. But the real revelation came when biomechanics researchers examined what was happening at the foot level. The slow pace allows your foot to make complete contact with the ground, heel, arch, push off through the toes, activating all 33 joints in each foot. This sends proprioceptive signals racing up to your brain, improving balance and spatial awareness in ways that treadmill walking or fast-paced cardio never touch. Western seniors who adopted sampo for just 8 weeks improved their single-leg standing time by an average of 45 seconds. That might not sound dramatic until you realize that single-leg balance is one of the strongest predictors of fall risk in older adults. And falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in people over 65. Here's how to practice sampo properly. Focus on rolling through your entire foot with each step. Start with your heel. Roll through your arch. Push off with your toes. Keep your eyes focused about 6 feet ahead, not down at your feet. Your arms should swing naturally but minimally, hands relaxed, fingers gently curved. The breathing pattern takes practice. Count your steps at first to maintain the rhythm. Morning practice works best because cortisol levels are naturally higher then, making the calming parasympathetic effects more pronounced. One critical detail: avoid treadmills. The moving belt disrupts the natural foot mechanics that make sampo effective. Choose varied terrain when possible: grass, dirt paths, gentle hills. Different surfaces activate different stabilizing muscles. Research from the University of Tokyo found that seniors doing sampo on natural surfaces had 20% better joint mobility than those walking only on concrete. Start with just 10 minutes if this is new to you. Build gradually to 30 minutes over several weeks. Your body will tell you when it's ready for more. Now we move to a practice that literally rebuilds your body from the inside out. Movement number 5, Rajio Taiso, the 3-minute miracle. Every morning at 6:30 a.m., a gentle piano melody broadcasts across Japan's public radio system. It's been playing since 1928, and when it starts, millions of Japanese people, young and old, stop what they're doing and move. It's Rajio Taiso, radio calisthenics, and it's unlike any Western exercise routine you've ever seen. This isn't high-intensity interval training. It's not boot camp. It's a flowing sequence of 13 specific stretches, performed in exactly 3 minutes and 15 seconds. The movements are simple: arm circles, torso twists, leg swings, gentle jumps. But the simplicity is the point. A 2024 randomized controlled trial, published in a major gerontology journal, found that older adults with frailty who practiced Rajio Taiso showed significantly greater improvements in agility, dynamic balance, and aerobic endurance compared to standard exercise programs. More remarkably, they showed dramatic increases in exercise self-efficacy, the psychological belief that they could continue exercising successfully. Here's why that matters. Most exercise programs fail not because they don't work physiologically, but because people lose confidence and quit. Rajio Taiso is designed to be achievable. The movements are never painful, they're never intimidating, they meet you where you are. And because millions of people do it together every morning, there's a social reinforcement that Westerners exercising alone in gyms rarely experience. But the real magic happens at the neuromuscular level. Each of the 13 movements targets a specific joint complex: shoulders, spine, hips, knees, ankles, moving them through their full range of motion in a specific sequence. This pattern wakes up dormant neuromuscular pathways, essentially reminding your nervous system how to coordinate complex movements. A study analyzing elderly participants found that regular Rajio Taiso practice prevented the reduction of skeletal muscle mass, a condition called sarcopenia that affects nearly 40% of adults over 70. Let me give you the basic sequence so you can try this tomorrow morning. First, stand tall. Stretch your arms overhead. Hold for 3 breaths. Second, arm circles. Forward for 8 counts, backward for 8 counts. Keep them controlled and smooth. Third, side bends. Reach one arm overhead, bend to the opposite side. Feel the stretch along your ribs, 8 times each side. Fourth, torso twists. Hands on hips, rotate your upper body left and right. Keep your hips stable, 12 times. Fifth, forward fold. Hinge at your hips, let your arms dangle toward the floor. Don't force it, just breathe. Sixth, leg swings. Hold onto a chair for balance. Swing one leg forward and back, then side to side, 10 times each leg. Seventh, gentle jumping or marching in place. Get your heart rate up slightly, 30 seconds. The entire sequence takes just over 3 minutes. You can find videos online demonstrating the exact movements set to the traditional music. But the key is consistency. Every single day. Same time, same sequence. That repetition is what creates lasting neuromuscular adaptation. One fascinating detail: recent research found that practicing Rajio Taiso may reduce the risk of dementia. A 2024 study tracking thousands of older adults found that those who regularly practiced Taiso exercises had significantly lower rates of cognitive decline compared to sedentary peers. The researchers believe the combination of coordinated movement, rhythmic breathing, and mental engagement creates a protective effect on brain health. 3 minutes. That's less time than it takes to scroll through social media, and it might be the difference between independence and assisted living at 80. Now let's move to a practice that rebuilds the very foundation of your movement, your joints. Movement number 4, the deep squat rest, reclaiming your primal mobility. This is where we separate those who are aging slowly from those who are aging fast. The ability to drop into a full, deep squat, heels flat on the ground, hips below knees, spine upright, and hold it comfortably. Japanese elders call it the resting squat. In the West, we've lost it entirely. Walk into any American nursing home and ask residents to squat. Maybe 5% could manage it. Walk into a Japanese senior center and the number flips. Why does this matter? Because the deep squat position maintains ankle mobility, knee flexibility, and hip range of motion better than any other single movement. When Western seniors lose the ability to squat, they lose the ability to get up from the floor unassisted. And research is crystal clear on this. The ability to sit on the floor and stand back up without using your hands is one of the strongest predictors of longevity and independence in older adults. A study analyzed what many call the sitting rising test. Basically, can you get down to the floor and back up without assistance? Those who could scored significantly better on mortality risk than those who couldn't. The deep squat trains exactly the strength, balance, and coordination required to pass that test at 70, 80, even 90 years old. But here's what makes the Japanese approach different. They don't treat squatting as exercise. They treat it as a resting position. They squat while gardening, while waiting for the bus, while talking with neighbors. They drop into a squat the way Americans lean against a wall. It's integrated into daily life, not segregated into workout time. Recent research found that this constant low-intensity engagement keeps the joints lubricated and the supporting muscles active without the inflammatory stress that high-impact exercise creates. Your knees aren't being destroyed by pounding pavement. They're being gently maintained through functional movement. Here's how to reclaim this ability if you've lost it. Step 1. Stand facing a sturdy chair or railing you can hold for support. Step 2. Widen your stance slightly beyond shoulder width. Point your toes slightly outward, about 15 degrees. Step 3. Keeping your heels glued to the floor, begin to lower your hips. Hold the support for balance. Step 4. Go only as low as you can while keeping your heels down and your spine relatively upright. For some, that might be only a few inches at first. That's okay. Step 5. Hold that position for 10 to 30 seconds. Breathe deeply. Step 6. Use the support to stand back up. Do this 3 to 5 times, twice a day. Over weeks and months, you'll notice your range increasing. Your ankles will become more mobile. Your hip flexors will lengthen. Eventually, you may be able to drop into a full squat without support and hold it for minutes while reading, thinking, or simply resting. Important note: if you have severe knee arthritis or recent joint injuries, consult your doctor before attempting deep squats. But for most people, the gentle progression I just described is not only safe, it's restorative. The Japanese understand something profound. Mobility isn't something you have or don't have, it's something you use or lose. And squatting is the movement pattern that preserves more mobility per minute than any other. Now let's move to a practice that literally changes how your nervous system processes stress. Movement number 3, seiza, the sit that strengthens. Here's a movement that makes Western physical therapists uncomfortable. Seiza, the traditional Japanese kneeling position. You kneel with your shins flat on the floor, sitting back on your heels, spine upright. And you hold it, for minutes, sometimes for an hour during formal tea ceremonies or meditation. Most Americans would call this uncomfortable, painful even, and initially it is. But Japanese elders view that discomfort as a teacher, not an enemy. The practice builds extraordinary ankle flexibility, knee resilience, and hip stability. But more importantly, it trains your nervous system to remain calm in the presence of discomfort, a skill that translates directly into pain tolerance, stress resilience, and emotional regulation as you age. Recent research on floor-sitting habits found that regular practice of seiza and similar positions builds endurance, strengthens leg and back muscles, and improves circulation. The posture requires constant micro-adjustments from your core stabilizers to maintain upright alignment. Unlike sitting in a chair, which allows your postural muscles to completely disengage, seiza keeps them gently active. But here's the part that surprised researchers. Seiza appears to have cognitive benefits. The combination of maintaining balance, tolerating mild discomfort, and staying mentally present creates what neuroscientists call embodied cognition, your brain staying sharp by staying connected to your body. Studies on traditional Japanese practices found that elders who regularly practice seiza during tea ceremonies or meditation showed better attention control and emotional regulation than sedentary peers. How to practice seiza safely? Start with padding. Place a folded towel or cushion under your shins and between your heels and buttocks. This reduces initial discomfort and prevents injury. Begin with 30 seconds. Kneel, sit back on your heels, straighten your spine, breathe normally. When discomfort builds, come out of the position. Gradually increase time. Add 10 to 15 seconds each week. Eventually, aim for 3 to 5 minutes. Focus on your breath. Use the discomfort as an anchor for mindfulness. Notice the sensation without judging it or resisting it. This trains emotional resilience. Don't force it. If you have existing knee injuries or severe arthritis, seiza may not be appropriate. Listen to your body. Modify by sitting on a higher cushion or yoga block. One fascinating cultural note. In Japan, the ability to sit in seiza is associated with discipline, respect, and mental clarity. It's not just physical training, it's character training. And research increasingly suggests that this mind-body integration is why Japanese elders maintain such remarkable mental health and low rates of depression compared to Western seniors. 3 minutes in seiza. That's the goal. 3 minutes of being present in your body, tolerating discomfort without panic, training your joints to remain functional. Now we move to the practice that might be the most protective movement for your brain. Movement number 2. Shinrin-yoku, the walking that heals your mind. This one isn't just movement, it's medicine. Shinrin-yoku translates literally as forest bathing, and it means exactly what it sounds like. Slow, mindful walking through natural areas, forests, parks, trails, while consciously absorbing the environment through all your senses. Western doctors initially dismissed this as pseudoscience, until the data became impossible to ignore. A 2025 study on older adults with chronic conditions found that forest bathing significantly decreased blood inflammatory markers, including C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, and fibrinogen. It increased blood oxygen saturation, it reduced subjective fatigue, and perhaps most remarkably, it improved autonomic nervous system function, the automatic processes controlling your heart rate, digestion, and stress response. But the cognitive benefits are what make Shinrin-yoku a potential game-changer for aging adults. Multiple Japanese studies have found that regular forest bathing reduces stress hormones, lowers blood pressure, and enhances cognitive function in older adults. The mechanism appears to be multifaceted. Exposure to natural phytoncides, organic compounds released by trees, reduced urban noise pollution, gentle physical activity, and the psychological effects of natural beauty all combine to create a profound, restorative effect. Here's the part Western medicine struggles to quantify: the subjective experience of connection. Seniors who practice regular Shinrin-yoku report feeling less isolated, more purposeful, and more connected to something larger than themselves. In a society where loneliness is now recognized as a major mortality risk factor, comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, this psychological benefit may be just as important as the physical ones. How to practice Shinrin-yoku? Find a natural area. It doesn't have to be a remote wilderness. A local park with trees works. Even a tree-lined neighborhood street is better than nothing. Leave your phone behind or put it on airplane mode. No podcasts, no music, no distractions. Walk slowly, slower than your normal pace, slower than sampo even. The point isn't cardiovascular fitness, it's sensory immersion. Engage all your senses. Notice the texture of bark, the sound of wind in leaves, the smell of soil and vegetation, the play of light through branches, the temperature of the air on your skin. Pause frequently. Find a spot that draws you. Stand or sit there for several minutes. Just be present. Practice for at least 20 minutes. Research suggests the physiological benefits become measurable around the 20-minute mark and continue to build for up to 2 hours. Do this 2 to 3 times per week, more if possible. Think of it as preventive medicine for your nervous system. A 2025 study analyzing forest bathing interventions found that participants consistently reported feeling restored, peaceful, and connected after sessions. Those aren't just nice feelings. They're indicators of parasympathetic nervous system activation, the rest and digest state that's essential for healing, immunity, and longevity. Japanese elders don't go to the forest occasionally when they feel stressed. They integrate it into their weekly routine, like taking vitamins, because they understand something Western medicine is only beginning to accept. Nature isn't just pleasant, it's pharmacological. And now we arrive at the movement that might be the most powerful of all. Movement number 1. Rajio Taiso Kai, the daily gathering. Wait, didn't we already cover Rajio Taiso? Yes, but here's the movement that turns it from good to extraordinary. Doing it with others. Not in isolation in your living room, with a group, in a park, every single morning. This is Rajio Taiso Kai, the daily gathering for radio calisthenics. And this social dimension may be the secret ingredient that makes everything else work. Because here's what researchers have discovered. The health benefits of exercise are significantly amplified when done in social contexts. Not just slightly better, dramatically better. Recent studies on social connection and longevity have found that strong social ties reduce mortality risk by 50%. That's more protective than quitting smoking, more protective than losing weight, more protective than treating high blood pressure. And in Japan, Rajio Taiso Kai creates automatic, daily social connection for millions of elderly people. Every morning, they show up at the same park, see the same faces, move through the same sequence together, exchange brief greetings, then go home. It takes 15 minutes total, including the walk there and back. But that 15 minutes creates social accountability. You're less likely to skip when people expect to see you. Belonging. You're part of something larger than yourself. Purpose. Your day has structure and meaning, starting with intentional movement. Community. The people you see become familiar. Sometimes they become friends. Mental stimulation. Social interaction is one of the most protective factors against cognitive decline. A fascinating 2024 study compared older adults doing home-based Rajio Taiso to those participating in group sessions. Both groups showed physical improvements, but the group participants showed significantly greater adherence rates, lower depression scores, and higher reported quality of life. The physical movements were identical. The social context made all the difference. This is why Japanese longevity isn't just about what they do, it's about how they do it. Together, consistently, as a community practice, not an individual burden. Here's how you can apply this principle, even if there's no Rajio Taiso group in your area. Find or create a walking group. Even 3 people meeting twice a week makes a difference. Join a Tai Chi or yoga class specifically for seniors. The social aspect is as valuable as the movement. Attend community exercise programs at senior centers or libraries. Many are free or low cost. Invite a neighbor to exercise with you regularly. Even if it's just stretching on your front lawn for 10 minutes, the movement matters, but the connection matters just as much. Japanese elders aren't just physically active, they're socially embedded, and the combination, movement plus community, may be the most powerful longevity intervention we know of. The identity question: who will you be at 80? So now you know the 6 movements, but here's the real question, the one that determines whether this knowledge changes your life or just becomes another piece of information you scroll past. What kind of 80-year-old do you want to be? Do you want to be the person who needs help getting off the toilet, who can't walk to the mailbox without fear of falling, Who sits in front of a TV for 12 hours a day because moving hurts and loneliness is unbearable? Or do you want to be the person who kneels in their garden, walks to meet friends for tea, drops into a squat to play with grandchildren on the floor, and feels strong, capable, and connected? That choice isn't made at 80, it's made today, right now, with the decision to either implement these 6 movements or return to the sedentary patterns that are silently stealing your future mobility, independence, and cognitive function. Japanese elders aren't genetically superior. They don't have access to secret treatments. They simply do these small, unglamorous practices every single day, rain or shine, motivated or not. Because they understand that aging slowly isn't about dramatic interventions. It's about invisible consistency. Start with sampo tomorrow morning. 20 minutes. Just walk slowly and breathe intentionally. In 3 days, add Rajio Taiso. Find a video. Follow along for 3 minutes. Next week, practice the deep squat rest twice a day. The week after, try seiza for 30 seconds while you drink your morning tea. Integrate these movements into your life like the Japanese do, not as exercise, but as living. And if you can, find others to do them with. Because the research is clear, movement plus community equals longevity. And longevity isn't just about years. It's about the quality of those years, the independence, the strength, the joy of a body that still works at 75, 85, 95. Drop a comment below right now and tell us, which of these 6 movements are you going to start with? Or better yet, if you're already practicing any of these, share your experience. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to take the first step. The choice is yours. But the clock is ticking, and every day you wait is a day of mobility, independence, and cognitive sharpness you'll never get back. Start today. Age slower. Live better.